Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Damian Borba. I work on the strategic development team. I have my team here with me, and today we're going to talk about UI kits. And to run the show, I'd like to invite my friend Jay. Jay, are you there? Jay.
All right, I'm here. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Sorry, I had to unmute. My name is Jay Ganadin. I'm Director of Strategic Development for Adobe XD. I focus on our agency customer portfolio. So that means the biggest holding companies of the world, as well as some of the smallest, most innovative agencies in the world through our Soda Agency partnership. I'm based in our San Francisco office, but today, as most people, I'm based at home in my home here in Emeryville, California. Tell us in the chat where you're joining us from today. We always like to hear. So each Thursday at noon Pacific time, we meet to discuss various topics on XD and share tips and tricks. We love to hear your thoughts as well in the comments. So please be sure to share that with us. If you're unfamiliar with XD, it's an all-in-one platform to design, prototype, and share engaging user experiences. So that can be screens, it can be apps, it can be pitch decks. We've seen some people win some new business through pitch decks. Or it can even be through Amazon Alexa devices. And yes, voice design is a thing. So be sure and check it out if you haven't already. If you want to learn more about XD, let us know in the chat. We have a bunch of free virtual events, as well as events that we can set up specifically for your agency or brand designers. And that's a quick way for you to get started. So today, our topic is UI kits. And so UI kits are, in some ways, some people call them a cheat. It's a quick way to start your design. In my opinion, it's a quick way for you to get through some concepts quickly without the sort of painstaking of creating rounded corner buttons and all these things that people are really familiar with and perhaps a waste of time. You want to get right into the goodness of design. And so with that, I want to show you, let me share my screen here. Let me show you some of where you can go find some of the UI kits that we have available. Okay. So let me know when you guys, my team, give me a thumbs up if you can see that okay. All right, awesome. Okay, so if you go to the Adobe page, this is the XD product page, there's a section in here where you can go straight to UI kits, right? So some of the ones when we just got started were with Apple design, so you'll see all the iOS and Mac OS interactions there, Microsoft, Google Material. One thing that we're particularly proud of is IBM and their Carbon design system and how we've created a design kit for that. And then even for our own team, we've got AEM, Adobe Experience Manager, our content management system, and a set of core components. So when you buy a fresh install of AEM, there's core components, and we've got a demo and a kit for you to build straight away from that. And then as you scroll down, some of these are developed by our community. And so tons of stuff to look at here. There's a familiar name there. You might recognize Howard Pinsky, who runs our letsxd.com website, and some really, really good stuff there. He's got a component states UI kit. One thing I should also pause here. Let me show you quickly to this, our survey. So one thing, this is our XD Enterprise Live survey. Damien will so graciously post it here in the chat. Last week we had some pretty good odds. For people that complete this survey, we're doing every month a drawing for a full year of Creative Cloud All Apps. right? So that's a pretty nice prize. So every month we'll do a drawing for that based on people that complete this survey. And we use this survey to create a much better experience, as you can imagine, for Enterprise Live, this show that you're seeing. And we love your comments here. And so just a quick thing for me to note. So back to the content. This is our UI kits. On the Adobe XD page, I mentioned Howard Pinsky and his Let's XD page. And so he's got a few things there too, right? So letsxd.com/freebies. Damien will actually cover this later in the presentation, this anchor links template. But we've got dashboards and a UI kit, other little widgety type things like this water usage screen, and even things like animated Netflix logos. So tons of stuff for you to kind of open up the XD file and just see how it was built. Now we also have a site that's called Behance. Right? So if you do a quick search on XD UI Kit, there are thousands out here that the community has so graciously posted. So have a look. I'll just do a quick scroll and you can just see there's UI kits for days. And so there's that. And then another one here, I'll just show an outside community. There's a site here that's called XD Guru, right? So you can go out to xdguru.com and then free-xd-UI kits. They're not associated with Adobe as far as I know. And you can find a bunch of UI kits here for days as well. So with that, I'm going to pause. I do want to introduce some guests that I have joining me today. First off, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Tor Gunderson, who comes to us from Atlanta, Georgia. Tor, are you with us?
I am here. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, great. And then also have Vincent Ramsey, who's joining us from the Sid Lee agency in Montreal. Vincent, are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm there.
Awesome.
I'm ready.
Awesome. And you guys already met Damien at the start of the show, our anchor that is anchoring.
Yep.
This is Tor's joke. And a bad execution. Our next episode is on dad jokes, so coming right to you. No, really, seriously. Let's get to Tor. He's going to show us his favorite UI kits. Tor, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Let me share my screen. All right, here we go. So thanks for the great intro, Jay. So Jay mentioned one of my favorite UI kits is off of our XD resources page here, and it is the Wireframe UI Kit. It's actually two kits. One is for mobile templates. So there's 170 mobile templates in here. The other has 90 web templates and 240 components. So it's a beast of a UI kit and so amazing. Let me jump into that really quick. So this one is the, actually, let me show you the web one first. So here's the web UI kit. So you can see it's got so many artboards here, so many elements that you can reuse. And this is really great, if you're starting to design a new experience. As Jay mentioned before, like you don't want to have to design everything from scratch. So this gives you a great head start with tons and tons of UI elements and templates to just jumpstart your design and start creating your interactions. So, and one of the greatest things about these UI kits in particular is I already have a built-in design system. So you can see in my assets panel, I've got colors, I've got all these character styles, and look at all these components. Just anything that I could use, just drag them out onto my canvas and use them. So each of these kits are divided into these sections. So this first one has all the UI elements. So just kind of really quick at a glance. And then you have, all these areas, like this is, for example, landing pages, right? So look at all these examples of different layouts for landing pages. You can just grab these quickly and start building your experience. So we've got landing pages, we've got, let's see, content sections, blog pages, just so much, just a wealth of resources right here at your fingertips. So that's web. I'm going to do some mobile stuff. So I'm going to switch over to the mobile to the mobile UI kit. Look at this. This thing is crazy.
Right. So
170 artboards here. Just all kinds of stuff that you can use. So from sign up screens, right, to activity feeds, profiles, just tons and tons of assets and templates for you to use. One of my favorite ones, actually, that I saw was, if I can find it, yeah, here we go. You want to design maybe a mobile app for a movie theater or a concert experience. Here you go. Here's your seating chart right here. So just, you can quickly grab these and start designing. So I'm going to start my demo here. I picked out, so I've kind of condensed everything here, so it's a little bit easier to consume. I picked out a profile screen and a post screen and dropped them over here. I just want to show you a little bit of how you can easily kind of customize the experience, just starting with some pre-built artboards. So this is maybe a mobile app for professional network where maybe you want to share some of the things you do, maybe drum up some business. So I've pulled out a profile screen here and then a post screen. So in my mind, I'm going to create a quick interaction. Say I'm going to list my projects out here, and then I might do a story on them, so a little bit more information, right? So I'm in prototype mode here, and I'm going to draw a wire from this project here over to my post. So I'm going to, I'm going to create a push left animation, and then maybe let's round trip this experience. So I'm going to click on my arrow right here. I'm going to round trip that, maybe a push right. So just creating a simple interaction out of these two artboards. I will preview this really quickly. Here we go. So I can click on my project here, and then it goes to my blog post, and then I can go back. So very simple, very easy to set up. So now maybe I've got a design system, right? So maybe I want to customize it. I've got my little logo up here. So I'm going to go over into design mode. First thing I want to do is maybe change some fonts. So I'm going to go and I'm going to change this to, I don't know, Railway. I'll do this for a couple of different fonts here. Just like that. And you can already see that my design is starting to take shape. So the next thing, maybe I want to create some new colors. I'm going to go into, this color here, and I'm going to edit that. Maybe I want to pick up, I'm going to add this one in here. Okay, let's try this. There we go. So I'm going to pick up one of my brand colors, a little dark. So we'll create a tint of that, just like that. Oh, too far. There we go. And maybe I want to change this text color so you can see it a little bit clearer. So I'm going to, I'm just going to change these to something that's darker. There we go. And let's edit this one as well. What do we got here? Oh, that's kind of nice. All right. Anyway, so I'm playing around with some colors. I might, change this little icon down here to say, this color up here. So just starting to get my design to take shape. And then the last thing I want to do maybe is throw in some content. So I'm going to go over to, I need my shape back. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to add in some content. I'm going to go over here to my, this person does not exist. Oop. I'm going to make sure I've gotten the right, there we go. I'm going to create a quick profile, there we go. So now I've got my profile image, and maybe this guy is a baker, right? So I'm going to go to my photo splash, and I'm just going to do a search for baking. I'm going to just throw this right into my design. Come on, there we go. And then I want to just populate some more images here. I don't want to use that one again, but maybe this one and this chocolate chip cookie one. I like that one. And just add in some right there. So you can see just quickly adding in some interactions here. So some content here really kind of brings this to life. And then I still have my interactions working. So you can see my design's really starting to take shape. So just a really easy way to, I gotta change my colors again because it's bugging me because I'm a designer. There we go. So just a really easy way to take some of these wireframe UI kits and quickly create an interaction and experience. And with that, I'll take it back to you, Jay. Are you muted?
Unmuting again. Awesome. No, thanks for taking us through that tour. You made me extremely hungry.
I know, right?
I think I need, and there's this whole bread making movement, right? People are just like, instead of $5 bread from the store, they're making artisanal bread just like this. So. Oh,
totally.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to introduce our special guest. Thanks so much, Tor. I know you got to get off to an important customer meeting, so thanks for taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you do have questions for Tor, they're going to have to be asked in absentia. But we're happy to take questions. And then I do want to introduce our special guest today. That's Vincent Ramsey. Again, he comes from the Sid Lee agency based in Montreal. He and his team created a UI kit called Fantasy Sport. It's exactly how it sounds. And he's going to walk you through it today. And over to you, Vincent.
Thanks, Jay. I think the first thing, obviously, I'll share my screen as everybody here to see this UI kit. But maybe before I jump in, there's a few things that I'd like to point out about the brief. I think it's when you guys approach us to create this UI kit, I think it was very important for us to really try to do something different. I think in the world of UI kit, there's a lot of blue colors. There's a lot of drop shadows and there's a lot of purple. And what we wanted to make sure is that our was a bit different to expose the way we craft elements at Sidley, but also to give options to all the designers out there. Maybe because I have a bias as a designer, when I look out for UI kits, I look more for inspiration than tool. I know the tools, I know how to draw like a pill shape, I know all of this. But sometimes in behaviors and how do we bring new ideas within a user journey. I like to see UI kits, how they actually answer those problems or opportunities with a UI kit. And that's the challenge that we gave us. So as a team, we set out and we asked, what is this UI kit about? And one requirement on this is let's have fun with this. It's very rare that we get a open canvas. Can we talk about this idea and make sure that we have a journey to talk about? Is there something unique about this UI kit? And how can CD be part of it? I think it's how do we bring our culture to it? And the last constraint was let's not use purple. I'm not a purple fan, so I gave that as a criteria to my team. They still laugh about it. This morning we had another meeting and they use purple, so I made sure that today I'd point that out. So basically, as you said, Jay, this one is about fantasy sport. What we liked, a lot of people in our team are fans of multiple sports, and fantasy is something that we see a lot in apps. So let's create something that is around that. And we wanted to make sure that for making it unique, it was a bit a mix of old and new. So that's why we created the league, the fantasy hockey design team. We're from Montreal, and we have a great history of hockey, part of the sports that we grew up in. So that was a lot of our inspiration. And part of the thing that you guys ask us is all the elements that we'll create needs to be, yep.
So I think we're getting a bit of a crop on the right-hand side of the screen.
What
there
about
we go.
this?
Bingo. All good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know.
You bet.
So part of the constraint that you guys gave us was also to make sure that all the elements were free of use in terms of license. And therefore we use our own talent in-house to create photos that you guys can use as users or editors throughout any of the inspiration that you guys get from this UI kit. We also have a few offices in the world, and we made them the heroes. So in Montreal, we had the Montreal Artisan, the Toronto Crafters. In the LA office, since they're closer to the entertainment business, they were the LA entertainers, and or Paris were the storytellers. So we really try to craft this idea around the people at Sidley and the offices, and that's why we showcase that and give you new tools to think about. All those logos are also available for you guys to maybe brainstorm about what this app or this website is about, and we'll go a bit more in details about that. We add some of the interface that highlight list, some of the data viz that is super important, and now we try to reinvent some of the behavior. So for this example, is like when you are in fantasy, people are offering you to trade players. So what we decided to do is let's match those two players and see where those stats are against each other, so that you have a better idea, is it a good trade or not a good trade, with your friends, and you can maybe brag or send some comments about this trade makes no sense, or maybe I'm having the upper hand on this. So we play with all those behavior throughout that UI kit creation. We even use the player's name, like Maurice Lafleur and Hilda Rask, a mix of actual players and people that work at Sidley, to really embody that UI kit. So obviously we did some visual for data visualization in different formats for mobile. So that's the overall UI kit that we had. So I'm gonna stop sharing just real quick and go back in the actual XD file. Gonna move that again to make sure that you guys see it properly, and just zoom out and show what's in there. We have a bunch of artboard that goes from mobile to desktop and vice versa, so that you can start to play with all those elements that are used in a UI kit. I think one of the key elements of this at the beginning, even if we do have all the buttons, all the components that are required for this, is that again the photos are there for you to use. That really gives a different look to what you're trying to create. And for us, the color palette was also something super interesting. That's what the kind of thing that as a designer you look for, some interesting colors. How can we mix them in a different proposition to come up with a proposition that has a unique standout? And that's what we did, and that's what we wanted to offer all the designer, is maybe a different perspective on UI kit. So a different font, making sure that you have something that speaks to it. And then we made sure that you had a lot of mastery elements to play with, button, that you have like all those different elements. And I think this is where it gets handy for us, is we have all those tools already created that has a look and feel, and then we can play with. We have some of these elements for the search, some icons that are well crafted, that we can use throughout all our proposition here that we do at Seedly. A Dropbox, for example, some of the text field that are already in those states, inactive, focus, field, and some errors. Those things that sometimes we forget when we're in the midst of creating, and obviously using the asset panel here, we have access to all of those. But the same with some of the icons that have been shared. If I continue with this, then you also get different type of logos and inspiration that are also responsive, the small, the large, a bit more simple, and everything that is in there is free to use for you guys. As we continue, we also try to make sure that you have some components that are often used, parts of design websites or apps, cards. We have different type of cards with images that we use with the colors, so you have a sense of how to use it, but make sure that you can craft it as well, as shown just a minute ago. I think one of the key elements that we wanted to point out is how this UI kit is super responsive, making sure that we add all the format for mobile, for desktop, for tablet, and we gave you all the different ratio so that you can have a good look on how this could look really quickly and have your own way into it. So just scrolling really quickly to give you an overview of all that. Data is also part of fantasy sport. So we thought maybe there's a way to illustrate different aspects of this game. In this case, hockey. What are the players that you put on the ice every night to accumulate as many points as possible? So we decided to draw something that is a lot more visual. And then we also have a version where it's more listed driven. And as you go in, you'll be able to have different proposition on how to use data over time, how to use the circular aspect to maybe draw some attention to a different purpose on the data. And in this case, if I scroll a bit and zoom in, again, in this idea of a toolkit for fantasy sport, this is the point that the player made in 2019. This is the point they made in 2018. And here's a projection. So I have this idea of how can we use AI part of this data viz, giving you the circle so you can play with all those shapes and create your own. And throughout the UI kit, we also made some how-to from this to this one or to this size. So you have like a big canvas to play with, but also have some how-tos going in and not to be completely lost in the sea of hardboard. So I think that's pretty much how it covers. And we made sure every time that we start a project that we go in there and make sure that maybe there's some ideas, some shortcut that we can take to really kickstart each of our projects.
That's great.
So to this, back to you, Jay.
That's great. Thanks for this, Vincent. I didn't realize the backstory that you'd used it kind of as a praise platform for the inter-office competition too. That's really cool. Didn't realize that. Nice. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Vincent. If there are any questions for Vincent, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to move on to Damien.
Hey.
Damien, are you with us? Hey.
Yes.
So he's going to cover.
Go ahead.
He's going to cover Anchor UI Kit, and this is a new feature. Damien's going to tell you all about it.
Yeah, perfect. Let me share my screen first. All right, so we're going to be using this UI kit that Jay mentioned. If you go to letsxd.com/freebies, the first one here, and we're going to cover this feature called Anchor Links that allows you to automatically scroll to a specific place on your artboard. something that it's really useful when you do your prototypes. If I go to XD, I just want to show you the feature first, and then I will show you the UI kit. So one thing that I want to also highlight that I think some of you pointed a little bit is that if you have your UI kits normally in other tools, you have, let's say, this button, watch trailer, and then let's say I need to define 3 different states. So this is my regular state, this is my hover state, and this is my disable state. Normally I would have to have 3 visual representations of that. And in XD, when you create your UI kit, your design system, you can have all of that in one. So in one component, you can have your default state, your hover state, and your disable state. So that saves you like a lot real estate work and management work. So that's just one thing I really wanted to highlight as you work with UI kits. Perfect. And to cover the anchor links feature, this is an artboard that was designed by our friend Jonathan Pimento, one of the PMs on XD, especially on prototyping. And the idea of that is that if I test this, let's, for example, scroll, what I want to hear is as soon as I click here on this About screen, I automatically scroll to this About section, somewhere like here. How can I make that happen, right? So let's go back here. I would, first of all, I just need to go to prototype mode, and then I can select that About button. And then what I need to do is drag a wire from this guy to that section, right? That's where I want it to go. If I test this now, it will scroll, but again, it's too close to the top, right? So how can I give some space there? So if you see this little lightning here, you can define some offset value, and let's say I want to touch that there. Perfect. I could also do that here via Property Inspector, and that's all you gotta do. So now if I click there, I will get that extra space, and this is the idea, right? So I can point my click here to a specific place on my artboard, the highest level place there. So let's say in this case, I want to go to a more distant like storyline, for example. One thing that I also want to highlight here is that if you go to the layers panel, you see that this is called Hero Parallax, and then from that, let's say I want to see story, from here I can click, and then this could be I scroll to, and then I can choose that section here on the property inspector as well if it's too far out or something. Then if I do that and test, I can click and this will scroll to that section. Again, I can increase the time to make it smoother, let's say 2 seconds here, and then get a better navigation to that section. Perfect. So let's get to now that you know the feature, let's look at the UI kit, again created by Jonathan Pimento, Senior PM on XD. It's called Anchor Links, and you can download it here on letsxd.com/freebies. And he has a couple of examples. The first one is, it's called Epic. You can just click here and you can see it has a hover effect. Again, you don't have to really define a lot of the separate interactions. It's all there. It's scrolling very smoothly to that. And the regular scroll continues to work. This is another one that's very nice as well. I can have a hover state that moves my element a little bit. And then if I click, I jump to that section. And this one has ease in and out, so it creates that nice effect. The other one, maybe the last one I will show, is this one that has a fixed element behind everything, so it creates this parallax illusion. All it's doing, this big image in the back is fixed, and you can see it's fixed when I scroll. So you can play with that very easily. And again, there's more interactions. This one is my favorite piece of it, which is a journey map, and you can see it takes you to all the places. Again, so very easily you can do that. And you can also add sound to your clicks if you want. So as soon as I tap on something, I can play an MP3. Especially for mobile, it's good to get that feedback as you touch the UI. So that's the UI kit I wanted to show you guys. Again, there's a lot more there. Jay, I'll hand it back to you. And again, if you have a chance, please fill out the survey, and we can stay in touch. Back to you, Jay.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Damien. And that really wraps it up, guys. We had 3 good guests here and colleagues joining. Really happy to see all of the chatter going on the comments. A question about credentials and certification. We are rolling that out. So if you are interested, be sure and tap either Caitlin or Colleen on the chat, and we'll work out some more messaging on program. Additionally, if you have folks that are interested in training with XD, we have a group of people that Damien manages called the XD Instructors, and they're available for training on our enterprise customers. So if you are interested, shoot us a note about that too. And then finally, again, fill out the survey. Again, put yourself in the running. Last week, I think Damien only told me we had 1 person complete it. And so that person's got pretty good chances of winning. But if you do fill it out, we do like to see really your feedback on this. And in return for that, you'll be in the running for a year's worth of Creative Cloud All Apps. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Damien, do you have any parting words here for us?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
We can close it.
Awesome. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you next week.